Trees are brilliant, and there's so many reasons why we should have trees.
We are the Great Northumberland Forest, a project to plant millions of trees, creating more wooded landscapes across Northumberland by 2030. Trees offer a range of benefits for you, your land and your business, so whether you want to diversify your income, increase biodiversity, improve soil and water health or reduce carbon in the atmosphere, trees can play a big part. We're determined to leave a better, more diverse and more productive natural environment for future Northumbrians. I'm Mark Child, Project Lead for the Great Northumberland Forest, and in today's episode I'm chatting with Rachel Henry about her site and how she's improved it. Rachel farms around 200 acres in the uplands close to Rothbury. Her land faces prevailing winds and currently has 25 to 30 acres of tree cover, mostly in single species plantations and small woods that her sheep and cattle are excluded from. In the interview she talks about why she wants to integrate trees with livestock management and how she's going to do this.
Westhills Farm itself is about 220 acres. So on our bit of farm, so of the 160 acres, we have already 25 to 30 acres. So it's about a sixth of the farm is already tree cover. That at the moment is in the form of small woods, so boarded off, either fenced off or behind stone walls. It's an upland farm, it's livestock, beef and sheep. The livestock don't have access to those woods currently.
But they would benefit from the shelter, sort of from the screening for that.
Precisely. So the farm, it's an upland farm. It's in the old classification. It's all SDA, severely disadvantaged land. So just to get a picture of the type, it's also it's on a hill. So it stretches from the moor down to the river, and we have it's very thin soils. There's a lot of bedrock sticking out of the ground. And so these woods, and many of them were planted, we think, about 50 years ago. So there was a lot of planting about 50 years ago. Some of it's been more long term, but very definitely the planting has been on the rocky outcrops. So the bit where you can do very little of the actual farming on. So clearly somebody's planted on those bits, these little woods. But as you say, as a result, because they're little woods, then the livestock have very much benefited from the shelter, the shade that those woods have provided.
And are they mostly coniferous sort of shelter belts, or are they a mixture of native and coniferous and sort of native broadleaf?
Yeah, we have a mix, but I would say the majority have been single species plantations. We definitely have some older woodlands, and there is a bit more mix. I think it depends when it was being planted and sort of the thinking behind it.
So you've had some trees for livestock, as we've covered, and now you're looking to expand that.
Yeah.
Why?
I think, gosh, that's such an enormous question, isn't it? Trees are brilliant, and there's so many reasons why we should have trees. So from a livestock point of view, we have cattle. Cattle love to rub against something. We have, I think it's 6 miles of stone walls on our little farm. And a cow just so much as looks at those walls and they fall down. So they're rubbing themselves against the stone walls is out, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably a much lesser thing, is to give a bit of interest for the animals than to have trees actually in the fields would be great. You've mentioned shelter from the sun, but also from the wind and the bad weather. To have that, our farm is broken into really quite small fields. The average size, I think, is 4 to 5 acres, the fields. But that does leave quite a few of them on a hillside, a southwest facing hillside. So we face the prevailing wind. It leaves them pretty exposed, actually. And so the shelter would be amazing. So that's from a livestock point of view. But then if you get onto the greater picture, to have biodiversity on your farm has to be a good thing, and it has to, as a grower of anything. We grow grass, We grow grass, which we feed to our animals, which produces food. And to do that, the greater the biodiversity, the better. And trees have to be absolutely key in that. And all of the myriad benefits of having trees.
So we've touched on all the good things that trees can provide. Do you have any concerns about combining trees and livestock?
Yes and no. We definitely think it's a great idea, but I think how you do it is something that really needs to be thought through. Trees are a very long-term project. It's not something, you can't just move them if you don't like where they are. And where they are is the big question is, where do you put these trees? And I think for every farm, every piece of land, the answer is different. This is a long-term project. What will somebody want to do when we're long gone? Because those trees will still be there. And so thinking that through is pretty important, actually. For the most part, our planting is around the edge of the fields. However, they are 4 to 5 acre fields. If you had a 16-acre field, then actually you look at what we've done. We've essentially put a cross of trees in the middle of it. But that's what we have, and so we feel to split those fields even smaller would be impractical from a farming point of view. If we were coming to mow, if we were coming to reseed, those trees would get in the way. So we're planting round the edges of fields, far enough away from the walls that it won't bring those stone walls down, into the field. So as I've said, the livestock can benefit from it, but it's where we probably wouldn't be mowing anyway.
I guess in terms of the planning, sort of really understanding the ground, the layout of the farm, the structure, and then the clear understanding of the objectives of what purpose the trees have, and how they fit into that farming practice.
Yeah.
On a specific point then, so what kinds of protection have you found best?
We've gone for the cactus guards, actually, and so we pretty much use the cactus guards. So far, we put just a handful of trees with the cactus guards in a couple of years ago, and we've found no problems with that so far. So we're pretty big believers in the cactus guards. They are like barbed wire on steroids, actually. They're just really thick, really, really vicious things with these spikes coming out. You put them around the tree, but they're held into place by 3 pieces of rebar. And the rebar is relatively important in this because rebar has the flexibility. And so when a cow pushes itself against it to rub, actually there's give and it moves. And that's not satisfying to a cow. So they don't use it. They don't use the guard to rub on. If they did, it would wreck the guard, it would wreck the tree. But instead they leave the tree alone, actually. And so it is proper protection. It's protection from everything that a cow can do.
Would you use them in fields of sheep?
Yeah, so we are beef and sheep. And so pretty much every field will have, during a year, cows and sheep, if you see what I mean. And so far, so that was probably our biggest question, was will they just will they actually end up filling up all the bits with wool, or would they actually get stuck to them? Well, they haven't. That's all I can say. We did know, I think, from the moment we came to the farm that we would like to plant trees and have trees more, have the animals amongst the trees a bit more.
How have you found the cost aspect of it, and I guess the support available to help make it happen?
Yeah, okay, so they are still quite expensive as a thing, but we've been very fortunate. The Great Northumberland Forest have funded the guards and the trees for this round of planting, which has been amazing and basically has made it possible, in truth.
So, what advice would you give to another landowner who is thinking about this style of agroforestry planting?
Yeah, I asked my husband this and he said, go for it. By the way, he was the one who dragged his feet on this one more than I did. I think my only advice is walk your land, go and have a look, think about its future. So it's a 15-year commitment with the Great Northumberland Forest, but actually with the tree, it's way more than 15-year commitment. That tree is there. There's no point in planting it if you think that in 15 years' time you won't want a tree there. So you're looking at now and you're looking at the future of the farm. Obviously, you don't know the future, but you know what you would like for the future of your farm. You think about the possibilities and things. So it is a long-term commitment, and my only advice would be go and have a look at it, practically think about it, but definitely go for it.
That was Rachel from Westhills in Roughbury. In the next episode, I'm talking to Karen Craighead, who is developing her site at Middle Coalcoats near Ponteland. If you have land in Northumberland and feel trees will help you and nature, please get in touch. You can reach us on our email at inquiries.forest@northumberland.gov.uk or on our phone number 01670 625 002.